what I want to talk to you today about is how much money you're going to need to make a living trading. This is something we actually taught at our 5-day course, How to Make a Living Trading, last month. It's phenomenal. It was 5 days of live trading where we learned from some of our head traders, one of them being Mike Flores, who's the head trader of our hedge fund, and he was showing us how to put trades on live online on a screen and showing you how to take profits, how to manage it, how to manage risk, and all that great stuff. So it was really a phenomenal course. And one of the sections that I taught on it was a little piece of psychology. And that psychology piece was really learning how to manage your expectations. Because when you're dealing with your own psychology, if you have unrealistic expectations of turning $5,000, for example, into 5 million in 5 years, not to say that it can't be done, but realistically, probably you're setting yourself up for a lot of undue stress and psychological downfalls. So something we want to manage and want to help you with that. And so we wanted to take this section that we're teaching at we taught at our HTML event. We're going to have another one in September. It's going to be really cool. And we just wanted to give you a whole bunch of value to the rest of the, to you all. So now I'm getting some feedback that you guys cannot hear me. How about now? Okay, I'm getting people saying that they can hear. Great. Okay, so let me just go ahead and get started again. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Thanks. And a whole team in the back that's just phenomenal. They're great staff. So some of the things we're going to cover today is what kind of returns that you're going to need to make a living trading. Because if you're not consistent with your annual returns, then you really can't have an expectations of what you're going to need to basically have to live on for the rest of the year. You're going to learn how to have the correct psychology, and we're going to learn how to figure out how much money you're going to need to do all this. So the first thing we have to do is we have to make some assumptions. Now, what I need you all to do is just sort of think in the back of your head, how much is it that you need to survive, i.e., paying for your home, your food, bills, living expenses. As you can see from the screen, I put 100K. And personally, I don't need 100K to survive. It's just a nice round number. I live a little more simply, you know. Courtney Smith, on the other hand, he's got his designer Hawaiian t-shirt, so he's a little high maintenance. Or, you know, Mike Flores, he's got to make his Maserati payments, so a little bit more high maintenance. But just really think of what you need to survive. So if you need 30, 60, 90K, put that down for you, and then we'll walk through the example. So starting, for example, if you have 100K. Now, if you have an annual ROI of 50% using Courtney Smith's techniques, that's what you're doing on average. One of the ways to basically manage your psychology is to cut that in half. So instead of having an expected ROI of 50, which is probably what you're currently doing, you're actually having an ROI of 25%. So do you see psychologically how you're not, you may have a standard of, you know, it could be 25%, you can cut it down to 13.5, it could be 75%, you cut that in half. So, but by cutting it in half, you're really managing your own expectations. So you're basically setting yourself up for even more success. So let's keep going with that. So how the basic math is going to work is you're going to take how much you need to basically survive. So if yours is 30, 60, or 90, what I have up here is $100,000. So you have $100,000 and you divide that by 25%. You come up with $400,000. And what that $400,000 is basically how much you need to have in your investment account at the rate of return of 25% in order to make 100K per year. So go ahead and do all that math on your own if you so choose to. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, I put in another number, and the other number is 125K. So say I need $100,000 to live on. Well, I don't want to have just $100,000 at the end of the year. Well, I want to reinvest some money. Some of you might be MMI graduates and want to put some money into your financial freedom jar. So say you want to put $25,000 per year. Well, what you're going to have to do is take that $100,000 that you would need to live on, add $25,000 to it. When you do that, you divide that by that same ROI of 25%, and that gives you 500,000. Now that 500,000, that is what you're going to need to be investing in order to be bringing in $125,000 a year. Now, what's very cool about that is once you have that 125,000 at the end of the year, the next year you're going to do the same exact thing, right? So we're going to take that $25,000 and we're going to add it to our original $500,000. Now, when we do that, take that $525,000 and we do 25% of that. At the end of the next year, it gives you $131,000 and a little bit of change. Make sense? So it's actually really basic math. Helps you understand your expectations, how to manage it. And you know, this may not be where you're at now. Some of you might have this or more, and great. Some of you might have a little bit less, and that's okay. Wherever you are right now is perfectly fine. What matters is you having a roadmap on how to get there, and that's what we're trying to help you to do. So if you're not quite where you're at yet, and you're thinking, how can I make this work? Well, some of the things that you can do is simplify. One of my mentors, he says to me all the time, simplify, simplify, simplify. So, for example, you know, you don't really need a Maserati to, you know, to have and to be making payments on if that's struggling. You know, it's perfectly fine. You know, if you'd want to, it's perfectly respectable to be driving around, you know, a nice little Kia. And you know, if anyone's ever read, you know, The Millionaire Next Door, you don't need to live a very extravagant lifestyle. So for me, I had to cut down on, you know, some of the shoes I buy and, you know, stick to organics and maybe go on sale and, you know, just shop for sale things and just really simplify, you know, pay down your debt, do a bunch of things. It reminds me of actually a story of this guy I knew, and he was having his third child. You know, he really wanted to save for retirement. He was in his late 40s, and he could not put anything away for retirement. And when I would look around at him and, you know, be over at his house with his family, he had a few Lexuses in the garage. He had this huge, beautiful house in San Diego, and he had all this stuff and all these little things. And I just said, well, why don't you downsize? And it was just something he was unwilling to do. So, you know, some things you have to do is you have to make choices, see what you really want to have. Like for me, I really have to have my organic food, you know, and that's important to me. So you have to figure out what's important to you and do some of these things to really get you where you want to be. So I hope you had, or you know, you learned some good information from us. Again, this is about how much you need to make a living. We talked about your psychology, how much, you know, the ROI you need, and also how much, what it's going to really take to get it all started. If you have any questions, you can always email me at jg@wealthbuilderllc.com. I also help run the mentoring program for Courtney Smith. If it's something you're interested, shoot me an email as well. We would love to answer any of your questions. Next week, one of my mentors, Rob Rowell, is going to be on Thursday, and he's going to talk about calculating risk management. He's going to do live examples for stocks, maybe a little bit of futures, and maybe a little bit of Forex if he has some time. But it'll be a good webinar, and it'll be very, very informative. So let me know what you guys think, and if you have any suggestions for topics for the next following week. We have a whole agenda for the next month, but we'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks, and have a great rest of the evening. Bye-bye.